This is a new thing. Little weird. I've been building to this for probably about 16, 17 years.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alex Lloyd. I wanted to share a couple of things with you today, very, very briefly, about why we do what we do and why so many times it turns out not to be the way we thought it was going to be when we decided to do it. You ever felt that way? You ever thought, oh man, this will be great. And then you started doing it, and when it started or halfway in or at the end, you're like, man, that just was not anything like I thought it was going to go. Well, you have, because all of us have things like that. When I speak in public, I usually ask people, have you ever had a situation where at the time you thought whatever happened was like the worst thing that had ever happened to you, but then later, sometimes years later, looking back on it, you think, you know what? That was really a good thing. Yeah, it wasn't what I thought at the time I wanted. It was painful, but I needed that. It changed my trajectory. It gave me a different viewpoint that ended up being a positive for me. I've never asked that question in public when every single person there did not raise their hand. What does that mean? It means that a lot of the things we do, we have opinions about whether we should do it or not, and for what reasons, and then what the outcome is going to be or not. But it's not the way necessarily it ends up being. That sometimes we thought it was going to turn out this way, pleasurably in some way, and it turns out painfully. There's sometimes we think it'll turn out painfully, and in the end, even if it takes months or years, it turns out pleasurably. All right? So what is doing that? How come we're wrong so much? And is there any way to be right more, to make better, wiser decisions that lead to better outcomes? That's what I wanted to talk about for just a couple of minutes. So let's go to the first one. And it's called your experience simulator. Your experience simulator is basically your prefrontal cortex, what's right behind your forehead. It is largely your conscious mind, will, and emotions, but it's also connected to your unconscious, subconscious, and ancestry. So consciously, you know certain things, but then there's influence from a whole bunch more things that you don't know about, but you have thoughts and feelings that come from those things, if that's as clear as mud. And let me give you an example of how the experience simulator works. And I've shared this before. If you've already seen this, I'm sorry for the repetition. But let's say that my wife Hope is going out to have dinner with some of her girlfriends, which she does pretty regularly. It's a great thing. And so she's going out tonight, and so I'm thinking, okay, Hope is going to be out. What am I going to do tonight with her gone? And I think, oh, there's a great ball game on tonight, which I like. I grew up watching ball games, playing sports, stuff like that. So there's a great ball game on tonight. That's what I'll do. Oh, and another great idea. I'll go get my favorite pizza to eat. I love pizza, to watch while the ball game's on. Pizza and ball game. Pretty good combination for a lot of people and for me. So with my experience simulator, I imagine, I literally see in my mind's eye, and I can see every step of the way if I choose to go that deep, going out to get a pizza, having it back, cooking it or buying one already cooked so that I'm starting to eat right when the game is started. That was kind of my goal, my end result I was shooting for, right? And we've all done things like that. And usually on something like that, you don't think about every aspect deeply because you've done it so many times and you've done it in the past, and so it's a few seconds and you decide to do it because you've had predominantly good experiences in the past. But this could also apply in the opposite direction, where you think about it very briefly, but you decide not to do it because you've had negative experiences in the past. But that doesn't mean that this next one will be negative, even though you decide not to do it because of the ones in the past. So it's a little trickier than just have my experiences in the past been good or bad. That can predict to some degree what the next one might be, but it also could not be relevant at all. And the next one could be the one I've always dreamed of, or the worst case scenario, or whatever. But anyway, back to the illustration. So here's how the experience simulator works. I think about that and I think, yes, that's perfect. That's exactly what I'll do. And when I do that, I'm basically imagining sitting in my recliner, the game is starting, the hot pizza's in my lap, and oh baby, that feels good. That's basically what I'm doing. So Hope leaves, and I go to the car to start my plan for the evening. It's going to end up with this great, wonderful feeling and an enjoyable 2 or 3 hours for me. So I go to the car and it won't start. And typically, if you have a goal that is blocked, the first thing you experience is something in the anger family. Anger, irritation, frustration, resentment, bitterness. So the car won't start. Shoot. Okay, I'll go get the jumper cables, all right? Hook up the jumper cables, car starts. Okay, that was a pain in the rear, but it's over. Okay, put that behind me. Let's get on with a great evening. Go out, and there's traffic everywhere at a time I didn't think there would be any traffic, basically. But, okay, calm down. It's all right. This will take an extra 10 or 15 minutes. I may be a little bit late for the game, but not much. I can start listening to it on the radio. I'm okay again. All right. Get close to the grocery store, and it just starts pouring rain. And I didn't bring a rain jacket or hat or umbrella or anything like that. So, and then I can't find a close parking place. So now I'm going to get even more wet. I step in this huge puddle on the way to the grocery store as I'm running and get soaked. I get in, and they don't have my favorite pizza. They have the one that's not nearly as good. The checkout line is 30 people long. They've only got one checkout line open for some reason. I go out. There's traffic, on and on and on and on. And I get back, and I'm exhausted, mentally, physically, worn out. It's halftime. The pizza's not good. Okay, you get the point, right? So why did I ever think that was going to be so great? Because your experience simulator lies to you all the time. And I don't mean 100% of the time, but probably 80% or more of the time, your experience stimulator lies to you. Why does it lie to you? It's trying to keep you at equilibrium. It's trying to keep you on an even keel away from something that might kill you, because that's the unconscious's number one mandate, is to keep you physically alive, but also not too upset, kind of maintaining the status quo. Because maintaining the status quo, at least I'm not getting killed, which would violate the number one mandate of my unconscious mind, all right? So my unconscious sort of games me a little bit, okay, with the stuff that I don't know, in order to try to keep me at an even keel. But the effect of that is it tells me stuff all the time that there's no way of my unconscious knowing whether that's going to be true or not. There's no way for me consciously to know if that's going to be true or not. But I start believing that's what's going to happen. So I'm set up for failure. Now, if that's not what happens, then I get all angry and bent out of shape about it, and I have a terrible evening instead of a wonderful evening. Well, what caused that? What caused it to go from a potentially wonderful evening to a potentially terrible evening? Is it because my car wouldn't start and there was traffic and it rained? And no, that's not what caused it. What caused it was me expecting that, me counting on that, me really having a belief that if that's not what happens, I'm not going to be okay with it. All right? Even though I don't really have any evidentiary reason to believe that that will be what happened, except that's what's usually happened in the past, but is not in any way a guarantee that it'll happen this time. So what could have fixed that? Well, I can guarantee you have unresolved traumas in you unless you've gone back intentionally to resolve them, because we all do. You have unresolved traumas in your past and passed down from your ancestry that are filling up your stress barrel and causing you to overflow, be in stress, break at the weakest link, and make wrong assumptions like this, that everything's going to go this way because it's gone pretty good in the past, even though I have no evidentiary reason to know it will this time. All right? So typically, it's the negativity inside you from your life and ancestry that has never been dealt with or resolved that is causing your experience simulator to lie to you and for you to have all these knee-jerk experiences during your day when you're expecting this, but get this, which throw you off and cause anxiety, stress, etc. Okay? So that's the truth about the experience simulator. Now you go back and clean up those negative experiences, both from your life and your ancestry, and you sort of have a talk with your prefrontal cortex experience simulator. Say, okay. I know your number one mandate is to keep me alive, but I don't want you to keep telling me stuff that's not true. I want to act on the basis of reality, on what really is true. So what would be reality about our original scenario? Well, the only thing that would change, I could still have the same desire and hope and prayer that my car will start, there won't be traffic, it won't rain, they'll have my pizza, all that, okay? But it has to be a hope, not an expectation. Because if it's an expectation, according to Dr. Dan Gilbert at Harvard in his best-selling research, he wrote a book about it called Stumbling into Happiness, the instant it's an expectation, I've just put myself into chronic stress. And if I'm already in chronic stress, I've just spiked my stress. Okay? So what has to change? I have to get rid of the expectation. And it's just okay, this is what I desire to happen. This is what I hope will happen. But in actuality, whatever's going to happen will happen. Let the chips fall where they may. And so the only thing that changes about the whole scenario is my expectation. I've got to eliminate that and let it go. My car may start, it may not. There may be traffic, there may not be. It may rain, it may not. They may have my pizza, they may not. But whatever the case, I'm going to try to go and stay in the present moment and think, believe, feel, do the truth in love in the present moment, not expectation, not bad stuff from the past. Deal with the present in truth and love. That's how you can change this. But if you can lower your stress barrel and heal the underlying source, then it'll be much, much infinitely easier for you to do that not just doing it by willpower. In other words, you heal the reason that your experience simulator is lying, and it largely quits lying. So you don't have to use your willpower to stand against it and say, no, I'm not going to expect. Once you heal the underlying, that tends to happen automatically. So what is the underlying? Glad you asked. Okay, I saw a research study recently. I believe it was Jordan Peterson. I'm not sure. I need to go back and check that. But anyway, it was a major research article in a peer-reviewed journal. And the title of it was, "ACEs Are the Reason." And in the course of the study, the abstract, the conclusion, the article, they were saying basically, no matter what problem you're experiencing, a health problem, a mental emotional problem, a relational problem, a problem at work, a problem with relationships, a problem with virtually anything you could name, no matter what you would say are the reasons, there's a really good chance the real reason are what are called ACEs. ACEs is from the DSM-5, Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Psychology and Psychologists, version 5, which is the current version. And it is adverse childhood experiences. It's basically traumas. All right? And so they were saying, based on study, based on research, that almost any problem you can have in your current life comes from unresolved traumas and negativity and childhood experiences. And some of them may really not be a trauma in and of themselves. It's only a trauma when they're misinterpreted. And we do that all the time too. Okay? And here they are. Here are the 7 types, according to the DSM-5, of adverse childhood experiences. Psychological abuse, and we did a teaching recently where we quoted studies that about 40% of all adults would qualify for abuse during their growing up time. Either physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, relational abuse. 40%, all right? Sexual abuse. Violence in the family, and that can be emotional violence, not just physical. Substance abuse, and that can be anyone in the family, including extended family, because those substance abuse issues tend to affect everyone. Most of these do. Sexual abuse affects everyone related. Physical abuse affects everyone related. If someone is mentally ill or suicidal, and the odds today that someone in a given family of 3 to however many people will have some mental illness, depression, anxiety, extreme stress, an adverse childhood experience, is over 60%. And that's for the average family, okay? So if you don't have it in your family, thank God, and you're blessed, and be grateful for that, but that's unusual. Typically, in every family, there's one or more of these, especially today after COVID. And then the last one, imprisonment, and that can affect people in a family, not just now, but for generations, okay? Several of these can, all right? So, in order to get the experience simulator to quit lying and start telling us the truth and be able to stay in a place of physiological, relational, mental, spiritual peace, which is where we need to stay to be healthy and happy, these have to be resolved in order for the experience simulator to start being more straight with us and to live in the present moment in love and truth. Okay? And these can be resolved. There are some various ways. There's talk therapy, of course, that can have a positive effect on those. I believe that's a pretty inefficient way. we have a way that I believe is more efficient, and there have been double-blind studies that have found that as well at universities, published in peer-reviewed journals. But there's multiple ways. Prayer sometimes can resolve these things. Forgiveness can resolve these a lot of the time. But how do you forgive someone that you're furious about? That's an issue that a lot of times needs some help too. Okay? But, bottom line, you start fixing these and your other issues that you've had during your childhood that have given you negative, and you might even say false programming, and your experience simulator starts to tell you the truth more and more. You're able to stay in the present. You're able to live in truth and love instead of fear and falsehood. And everything in your life starts going better and better and better. And you make better, wiser decisions, which over time lead to everything in your life getting better. And usually even financially and with your work. All right? So these are a couple of things that are often overlooked as to why we do what we do and what you can do to change that. Thank you so very much. Have a wonderful, blessed day.